Kingshuk Nag, how is Chandrababu Naidu 4.0 likely to be different from the first avatar we saw when there was United Andhra Pradesh and the second avatar when he'd just taken over a fledgling state? How do you sense Chandrababu Naidu operate this time?
Chandrababu Naidu was very, very upset when Telangana became a reality. And he is seen as the creator of Hyderabad, modernizing Hyderabad, and he wanted to create another model city. So he chose on a greenfield place called Amravati and wanted to develop Amravati. And whereas he had dependent on investments from Western Europe and America for Hyderabad, he wanted to develop it on Eastern countries, Singapore, Japan, etc. And the fact that Amravati was a Buddhist center, he wanted to capitalize on that, so to appeal to people from Japan, etc. Unfortunately, there were some problems and he lost the election because from the very beginning, his opponent, that is Mr. Reddy, Jagan, was looking at somewhere else. So that is what he got stymied in his journey, and therefore that is, so now he's going to put all eggs and try to develop Amravati.
No, but he's also, I think, spoken a lot about Visakhapatnam, knowing full well that if you look at how Visakhapatnam is voted, they've given a mandate to the TDP. Of the 15 assembly segments, about 8 have gone to the TDP there, which is why even yesterday, while speaking about the capital issue, Rahul, you had Naidu very clearly saying that, yes, we're going to make Amravati the capital, but we will put our focus on Visakhapatnam. We'll ensure it's the commercial capital.
So you traveled to Amravati. I saw some of your reports. Barren land. Absolutely. Suddenly land prices skyrocketing. Amravati, in some senses, the new Ayodhya. If you've got some land there, you've made a killing already. So now, did you buy some land there, Akshita?
I wish I could, because it's absolutely beautiful. There's no doubt about that. I most definitely can't afford it, Rahul, because you're right. It's all skyrocketed, but it is essentially a ghost town. You've got half-developed, half-baked roads with no signals. Street lights are there, completely empty. There's a makeshift secretariat. There's a makeshift high court. Apartment buildings that have come up and then left as it was, because when Jagan came over, he hit pause completely. So Naidu has to hit the ground running as far as Amravati goes, and he needs money for it.
But Kingshuk Nag, it takes forever to build a new city. I was in Naya Raipur during the elections, and they've been at it, and Naya Raipur is bang next to Raipur city, and they've been trying to build Naya Raipur as the capital of Chhattisgarh, and it just takes years, going into decades. How long do you see, even if Chandrababu Naidu gives it his best shot, how long do you see it take before Amravati starts taking shape in some real form?
But I'm sure that he can make an effect, because Mr. Naidu is very determined, and therefore within 5 years, I think it should come up in a big way. He's chosen a barren green land, so basically there's only land there, and the river is next to it, the river Krishna. So basically he can develop it fast, especially if he gets some investments from Japan, Singapore, etc. He can develop it very fast, I think.
Yeah.
And he's also racing against himself, because he built Hyderabad, he wants to build Amravati and make a name for himself. Don't forget that Mr. Naidu thinks he's a big man. He can also
he's got a tag of being development king. He's referred to as the CEO, CM. So the Andhra people feel if anyone can do it, it is Chandrababu Naidu. On your screens are images of Naidu's convoy currently moving through Vijayawada. You have to pass through the Prakasam Barrage and then you make it over to Amravati. The original plan of the swearing in, Rahul, was to have it in Amravati because Naidu wanted to send out that message that, look, this is the heart of Andhra. Unfortunately, they've had to shift it over to Gannavaram, which is closer to the airport. I suspect it's because of all of the VIP movement also involved in this swearing-in ceremony.
Let's go across now to Dr. Sandeep Shastri. Dr. Shastri, you track the politics of Andhra Pradesh closely. This kind of a verdict, this is not just a victory, it's a tsunami. How much of it, according to you, is linked to just the various sins of omission and commission of Jagan Reddy? Because this is really an anti-Jagan Reddy mandate. And, for what it's worth, he ran a successful welfare agenda, had lots of schemes which were impacting the people, but somehow people seem to have thought, enough is enough, we want this guy to go. How did Jagan Reddy get his script so wrong, and can he bounce back from here? You're on mute, Sandeep.
Rahul, I think there are 2-3 important factors in play here. One, of course, the anti-incumbency in spite of the welfare schemes that Mr. Jagan introduced, and that's largely because of the style of governance that you see him following. A second factor which we need to keep in mind is the social coalition that the BJP was able to come up with, which I think was a very important factor for them. Let's also remember, Rahul, that around 29 years ago, Mr. Naidu first took oath as Chief Minister. And now, after 29 years, he comes back. And it's important to remember that this victory of the TDP alone is, in terms of margin of seats, the biggest victory they have won since 1995. They have got 3/4 of the seats. That is the TDP alone, which is around 77% of the seats. Last time they got just 58% of the seats. So it's not just the alliance that has done very well. It is the TDP as a party which has also done exceedingly well in the election. And a lot of that would need to go to the chief minister who is coming in for his efforts of building this coalition, taking everybody with him and striking the right chord with the people, especially in his criticism of the YSR government. And it's very interesting, he's taking everybody with him as he takes it forward. He is bringing both the alliance partners in, I think, which is a very welcome move. And his focus in this alliance, even at the national level, is on benefits to Andhra, which we have seen, and not so much about what they get in the union cabinet. That, I think, is clearly the TDP's.
You know what? If you look at the cabinet composition also, Rahul, the list was out early this morning, and you get a sense that Naidu has learned from his mistakes of what he did in the previous election, where there was a sense that he only caters to one vote bank, which is the Kamma vote bank. If you look at the cabinet composition today, it looks very different. There are regions that are being represented. I'm talking about Rayalaseema, Coastal Andhra, all of that that's found a place. You've got 3 women leaders who are part of the cabinet. You've got people from different communities also who've been brought in. Because don't forget that this election, what's been very interesting to see is even how the Reddys, for example, who are usually with Jagan Mohan Reddy, they've also been cut across. There are many of them who switched over to the TDP. And Chandrababu Naidu, I think, realizes that this time the mandate is very different. It's not just limited to one particular vote bank.
And the power behind the throne in all of this is Pawan Kalyan. T.S. Sudhir, I had an opportunity to chat with him and his wife at Rashtrapati Bhavan. And, you know, the Prime Minister's comment, ki Pawan nahi aandi hai, that went viral all across Andhra Pradesh. He's likely to be Deputy CM. What role do you see Pawan Kalyan play over the next 5 years? Will there be friction at some point in time? At this moment, they seem very comfortable in their skins and the position that they have. Will there be a Nara, Lokesh versus Pawan Kalyan dynamic that plays itself out? And why is it that Pawan Kalyan is so much more successful or seemingly successful than Chiranjeevi?
Well, I think Chiranjeevi, when he came in 2008, I mean, everyone expected him to do an NTR. That is, just like NTR came to power within a few months of forming the Telugu Desam in the early 80s, everyone expected Chiranjeevi to do so. But there was really no political vacuum existing at that point in time in the 2009 elections. And Chiranjeevi, much more of a mild-mannered person. Pawan Kalyan has shown that he's there and he could actually take on his critics. The last 10 years have not been very easy, especially the last 5 years of the YSRCP regime, where Pawan Kalyan was constantly derided as a package star, as someone who takes instructions from Chandrababu Naidu and repeats them in public, comes to Andhra Pradesh once in a while from Hyderabad, is more busy with his movie shootings. But now Pawan Kalyan, I think Pawan Kalyan's visit to meet Chandrababu Naidu inside Rajamundry Central Prison in September 2023, I see that as a turning point in the lead up to the elections of 2024, because that one consolidated the youth vote firmly in favor of the alliance. It also showed that Pawan Kalyan is someone who is willing to take on even the BJP, because the BJP leadership at that point in time was in no mood to ally with Chandrababu Naidu. So even though he was part of the NDA and had participated in an NDA meeting, he said that I am going to ally with the TDP and contest the elections along with Chandrababu Naidu. So that, according to me, was the turning point, because that
make no mistake, till the time Chandrababu Naidu was sent to jail, Akshita, it seemed that YSRCP and Jagan Reddy were far ahead in the electoral race. And suddenly, you know, he gets arrested, sympathy starts to build, and that's where the tide starts to turn.
Very true. And even when he was in jail, Sudhir mentions about how Pawan Kalyan was there, extended support. Pawan Kalyan then, at that point, came outside the jail, and that's where he announced the TDP and Janasena's alliance. You had Nara Lokesh also emerging at that particular point, because he was leading the campaign then. Naidu's wife, Nara Bhuvaneshwari, the fact that she stepped out of the shadows to come to the forefront and fight for Naidu's release, all of that played on the mind of the voter, because they believed that, look, the TDP is pushed to a corner and they're having to fight. And then that anti-incumbency kind of seeped in.